Minutes of the June 4th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
There is, I'm so moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Financial report and payment of the bills. We have a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? I think, the only comment, it would be nice to be able to figure out how we could get the check registered maybe a couple days in advance if possible. I don't know if that's possible or not. I know we're pushing them out this week, but it'd be good to review it a little bit. Perfect. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, first up, presentation from Mr. Lieutenant Todd Finch on body worn cameras. Todd, you were on, man.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. So I was asked to be here today to talk about the body worn camera contract, just so everybody is aware of what's going on with it. That contract is getting ready to end. And is required to be renewed come September. Some of you may know, may not know, but it is required by the state that we have body worn cameras. There's no way around it. We have to have it.
How long was that contract for?
The contract was for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And it's for roughly, $590,000, so. I asked, Chief Rogers to come in and present it to the board for consideration, given the amount of money involved in this, I think it's about $90,000 a year. And it'd
Okay.
be the cost of the town for so this is very expensive. I think the largest expense of it is storage for the material and clouds. So you're talking some serious stuff, and we've got 40 officers out there, body cameras, you know, they don't run day and night. But
Have to have it.
The old contract, did not have some of the things that are in the new contract. The Axon throughout the age of our last contract was kind of piecemeal with, updated service agreements. Another updated service called Axon 990, which is a way we integrate with County Department of Emergency Services that provides victim feedback and victim services through the 911 dispatch system. Licensing, we've had to upgrade our licensing since then and upgraded cloud storage. So over the course of the last 5 years, contract's been piecemeal. The new contract is going to have everything all in one. It's all inclusive. It's also going to include an upgrade to the new Axon body worn camera 4. We're currently at body worn camera 3. Previously, the last contract, the yearly cost was somewhere in the order of, I believe it was 63,000, and then that went up a little bit towards the end to about 72 with the upgraded licensing and service agreements. Axon did try to, promote a lot of their new upgrades, a lot of services, but to be cost effective, we just basically maintain what we have now. We're maintaining. The cost of doing business, Axon's obviously charging a little bit more per year. The 5-year contract that they presented to us has a total cost of just under 448,000, with the first year's price of that contract being 86,643. Each subsequent year, the yearly cost is going to increase, but the total amount does not increase. They just broke it up so that it's kind of lower in front and heavier in the back end of the contract.
In the new contract, do you get new cameras?
Yes, so
Everybody is.
what each contract includes, including our last contract, every 2.5 years, we get a complete upgraded system.
Oh.
New cameras, new docks for the cameras, maintenance on the system. Everything is overhauled every 2.5 years throughout the contract, and that's built with the contract. There's no extra cost to that. That comes with the contract price. So that's the Axon contract. It doesn't say it in the agenda, but I was also supposed to talk about our True contract, which is part of the body worn cameras. Last year, we received Trulio through grant. We're actually still in the fiscal year of Trulio, but we received through grant, that's $20,000 a year for their contract. I also applied for the Trulio contract to be continued through the same grant, which we have not had approval yet, but we're still working on that, waiting on approval. And I was able to secure a contract with them that if we went with, it would actually reduce the yearly cost of Trulio from 20,000 to 17,200 a year. But in order to secure that, we would have to agree to a 5-year contract.
So the Trulio uses AI, so as you're speaking, it's,
So essentially what Trulio does is it analyzes every single second of body cam footage that we upload. And it's a kind of like a automatic notice to supervisors when officers are doing good, when they're de-escalating situations. It also notifies them anytime keywords are used, like if I were to say you're under arrest on body camera, it would notify, that's one of the keywords. And it would bring that to the attention of the supervisor so they could randomly review these body cam footages to see if there's any issues with the interaction with the citizens, or it also is a good thing too, because it tells us every time we have good interaction. Again, it analyzes every single second of footage. And one of the new things that Trulio is coming out with, in addition to the analyzing capabilities of it, like you were saying, Mayor, it has an AI built into it now where it can transcribe every one of our calls for service that's recorded on the body cam. It will allow us to build reports off that if we choose to go that route. It also has other features where officers on scene and in the field can actively ask Trulio questions like policy questions, state law questions. If they have any confusion or if they need it spelled out for the citizen, we can ask the program, and it has the built-in answers to those questions. Like if I were to ask, what's the policy on body worn cameras, it will automatically bring that up and it will spit it out to you for the policy.
So it gives legal advice too?
It's not legal advice. It just tells you what the policies and state
Just
laws.
policy, okay.
So it has state mandated laws built into it. It has our policy built into it, and it has criminal regulations built into it.
So with, the body cam having keywords such as you're under arrest, are there any other identifiers with the cameras? Because the reason why I say that AI is something that is new. And so that's equally as important, I think, because it helps you to write reports and do other things. So I guess that would be one of the identifiers, or just the word arrest.
I mean, there's several keywords that will pick up on. It also picks up on demeanor and tone of voice.
Wow.
So if there's any shouting or yelling,
Yeah.
it will identify that as an escalated incident. And it analyzes the footage to see if the officer attempted to de-escalate the incident. And with any software, you know, there's mistakes, there's errors. Sometimes it
Right.
will say that the officer is cursing and it will alert the supervisor, but when you analyze the footage, it's actually someone else that's speaking in the area that's, you know,
That's
using
amazing.
foul language, stuff like that. So foul language, escalated incidents, use of force incidents, high praise incidents where the software itself will say that the officer did a good job de-escalating this incident, will automatically send that notice out to the supervisor for us to be able to review them. And again, that's at the cost I had mentioned. Axon did offer similar services, just like that for us, that we could have taken advantage of through Axon and through their contract. But their services for that contract were almost at a cost of $60,000 a year
oh, wow.
on top of everything else. So this was much more cost effective.
So what do you need us to do?
I was just asked to present it, just make sure we have approval to move forward with contracts and continue services with both of these companies.
Any hiccups, issues?
No, that sounds
All right.
great.
Good to go.
Yeah, let us know how you do with the grant process.
We'll do. Keep it open.
All right,
We have to have it.
Yes.
Thank you, Officer Finch.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, they do. All right, now we have a presentation with Mr. Mark Dobbins, President of the Elkton Northeast Rivers Watershed Association. Good to see you again, Mark.
Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. See if I can work Zoom correctly. Spent the last 10 minutes or so trying to turn off every notification that's related to work. See how well I did.
Introduction.
There we go. Good. All right. So thanks again for allowing me to be here with you today. My name is Mark Dobbins. I'm the president of the Elkton Northeast River Watershed Association. To get started, well, first of all, if you don't hear any other message I have today, I really want to extend our sincere thank you to the board and to the town for the support you've given us in the past, and we want to spend a little bit of time today telling you what we've done and how we've used that support. Just to give a little bit of sense of scale, when we talk about the Chesapeake Bay, the Chesapeake Bay watershed extends far beyond the borders of the bay. The watershed area itself is about 64,000 square miles. There's almost 12,000 miles of shoreline. There's over 18 million people that live within the Chesapeake Bay watershed. It goes all the way up from upstate New York all the way down to Virginia and out to West Virginia. And particularly note on this slide, there's more than 1,800 governmental bodies in 6 states in Washington, D.C. that have an impact on the Chesapeake Bay. And that's kind of an overwhelming problem. So let's take a look just a little bit closer at home to the 2 watersheds that we're most interested in, of course, is the Northeast River watershed. A little over 60 square miles are located in Cecil County. We've got just a little bit of our watershed up in Chester County, PA, and the largest tributaries are Stony Run and the little northeast and the Northeast Creek. Technically, according to USGS, the Northeast River continues all the way up past the town of Northeast until it bifurcates into the little Northeast Creek and the Northeast Creek, even though a lot of those areas are labeled as creeks rather than rivers. The Elk River watershed over 140 square miles, and I will say all these statistics are taken from the 2 watershed assessments that are contracted for by the county and periodically updated. About 76 square miles of the elk is located in Cecil County. The Big Elk, the Little Elk, and then of course the entrance to the C&D Canal since about the 19th century. Just a little bit about our organization. We've been in existence as a 501c3 for just a little over 10 years now. We were formed in late 2012 into 2013 due to conversations that we had with Cecil County Stormwater Management Division. You'll hear me mention them many times because they're a great partner. In June of 2014, we held a public meeting and said, hey, is anybody interested in doing something like a watershed association in the Upper Bay? Turns out there was, and 6 of those people who were on our original board 11 years ago are still there today. So we've been very, very fortunate. We are a very small, all volunteer organization, and we live and breathe through our volunteers. We don't have any paid staff. And we're very, very fortunate that many very small, all volunteer nonprofits have very much, it's a little bit volatile. You're dependent upon your volunteers, and you'll see that some nonprofits will kind of come and go depending on how they get their volunteer. We've been very, very fortunate to have this core group. So we did receive our IRS certification in December of 2014. Just to give you a little bit of our annual events, there is a Bay-wide effort in early April, headed up by the Alliance for the Bay. This is called Project Clean Stream. We've probably taken over the past 8 or 10 years, well over 50,000 pounds of trash and debris and a lot of tires. I should have kept count of all the tires we took out of the different places. That's usually the first weekend in In April, we have our annual meeting in May. Just last Saturday, we attended the Cecil County Weigh-In for about I think this was our 11th, I think it was our 11th year, which is a great event that brings a lot of vendors and exhibitors together. It's managed by the Cecil County Stormwater Management Division. And we were very, very fortunate. We had several hundred people come through down in Charlestown, a little bit few area. So if you have an opportunity to attend the Cecil County Weigh-In, it's a lot of fun. And it does piggyback on State Senator Bernie Fowler about 30-some years ago, took a wade out into the Patapsco River to see how far out he could go and how many inches it would be before he lost sight of the sneakers. So it's the sneaker index for water clarity. We do our water quality sampling program, which is what I really want to talk with you about, from April through November, and we end up the year in fall. We try to have a volunteer appreciation event that's pretty informal. And just to say, we have about 13 volunteers right now that are sampling every month. We have 11 sites on the Northeast River and 10 sites on the Elk River this year. And the other piece that we try to do is in-ground projects such as rain gardens, small pest management practices. We sometimes are contacted the homeowners that are having drainage issues around their homes, and maintaining the existing BMPs. That's where our partnerships really come into play, and I'll speak to that in just a second.
Mark, I do have one quick
Oh,
question.
yeah, go ahead.
So when you were talking about the cleanup, walking through the streams and picking up tires,
So what we do is we pick 2 or 3 different sites each
Yeah.
year, depending on how many volunteers we think we're gonna have. We get a waiver from the Cecil County landfill so that they don't charge us to bring all this junk in there.
yeah,
And then we'll go out through those sites, we'll pick up anything we can carry. Some of the young folks are a lot more aggressive than I am. The biggest thing I think we've taken out is an old rusted hot water heater. Well, dozens and dozens of tires. We found Barbie's Jeep one year. It's a wide variety. We've had couches and that kind of
do
stuff.
we have to get any permitting from the state if we wanted to walk the Big Elk Creek?
Mhm.
Would we have to get a permit from the state to clean out our creek?
Once you're not doing construction or anything of that nature, they wouldn't,
Not as long as we're not moving, I forget what the threshold of soil is. I think it's 500, I shouldn't even say. That would require a permit, but no.
I
we
think
don't
that would be a
require
fun trip, a fun thing for us to do.
Well,
What about trees that are,
I'm sure we could take debris out. I mean, if there's a tree stumps or laying down, right?
anything that we can take it, now there is some, depending on whether it's in the critical area, zone, which is about a 1,500-foot buffer from which is governed by the critical area committee. Can't cut anything down, but if it's down and we're typically taking out trash, old, things that have fallen off boats.
Yeah.
And a lot of tires.
Very good.
A lot of tires. And that's what we did. And so by having the waiver with the landfill, is there is a certain amount of tires that you can take to the landfill without a permit. And so we have to be careful about that.
Okay.
We try to partner with the municipalities. So for example, where we've cleaned the last few years around Stony Run, Northeast Isles Drive, Route 7 down within the town limits of Northeast. They've been very helpful. Some of the town staff down there will come out and help us, and typically their public works folks will have a truck or a dump truck, and if we get enough, we're thinking we're gonna get enough stuff, they'll handle getting that to the landfill for us, and so then that helps with the not having to do the permitting. They have all their stuff in place.
Very good. Thank
If
you.
if you identify a site that you want to do, and again, it's usually the first weekend of April, we'll be happy to get volunteers and
Okay.
coordinate that.
and how much soil was that again that you can't just?
I'm not gonna say, I think it's 500 cubic yards, but I might be wrong about
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, we don't typically, if it's buried in the ground, we're gonna probably do more harm trying to get it out, plus it's all volunteers, so it's a lot of
Understand.
sand. We typically leave it where it's at if we gotta dig it out.
Mhm.
But again, that
Okay.
old hot water heater does stand out for my mind.
It does. Thank you.
So I do want to mention, take a moment to mention, anytime I'm talking to folks, the Cecil County Watershed Steward Academy, I was very fortunate to be in the first class. I can't believe we graduated, almost 10 years ago in, December of 2015. This is a formal program. There's Watershed Steward Academies throughout, many different counties. It's about 50 hours of classroom instruction. Part of your classroom instruction is planning, designing, and then implementing a small best management practice as a class. And then the class breaks up into either individuals or small teams. We'll go out and do a capstone project. And in our case, we were able to secure a small $5,000 grant from Chesapeake Bay Trust to revitalize a failed best management practice outside of the Northeast Town Hall, which had collected runoff from that municipal park area there. The Watershed Steward Academy, just to give you an impact and an idea of their impact, over 4,000 people have been reached. 36 of us have graduated. The volunteer services valued at over 30,000. There's almost 7,000 native plants. The Watershed Steward Academy is a phenomenal program, and it takes regular folks that don't have any kind of technical knowledge, and they bring in some outstanding speakers that do have technical knowledge and engineering backgrounds, and it teaches you how to do small projects around your home and your residences or businesses. The other thing it teaches you is what not to do, when not to get involved and when to get the professionals involved. And we've had a couple of instances where homeowners have called us out and said, hey, I'm really having a drainage problem down here. And we were able to recognize pretty quickly that that's not something that we could do, that they need professional engineering. And we have partners that can help with that as well. Just a little bit about our sampling program, which is what I really came here today. Again, Stormwater Management Division helped us kick it off in 2014. They supplied some of our initial equipment and training. We really were able to get up and running when we partnered with the Alliance for the Bay. They have folks that are able to provide us with the protocols to make sure that we're conducting our sampling in the proper way that will be accepted by state and federal agencies. We upload all of our sampling data to the Chesapeake Monitoring Cooperative website. That's used by state and federal agencies when they're ready to do water quality analysis. So our data is used for other things besides just creating the report card. Having them on board and being able to partner with them and get their expertise, really, there's 3 tiers of data. We're tier 2, and the federal and state agencies that are using that data need to be confident that it's been gathered and handled, that it's been sampled and handled in the proper way to meet their requirements. And so the Alliance for the Bay was able to help us with that guidance. We're able to expand significantly in 2021. The town of Northeast spent about $3,000 and bought us a second sampling kit, which is still in use today. That allowed us to move from the Northeast River over to the Elk River as well. One of the real challenges of having 12 or 14 different people sampling the river once a month is to get those kits back and forth. It sounds like a minor thing, and it is, except you've got people that are working and got their family lives, and it's all volunteers. So you got to get these kits back and forth. We typically sample in teams of 2 because it's easier to have 2 people doing it. And then we were able to expand our mailing of the report card in 2013 because of the funding that the town of Elkton provided for us that year. So as you can see, I keep mentioning partnerships, and when you're all volunteer, small organization like we are, those partnerships are key. And I would also be remiss, we've been consistently funded by the VLT lottery grant as well for at least a couple $1,000s a year, which we put toward wherever we need it, whether it be lab fees or mailing and printing costs. To speak specifically about how we monitor and how we sample, we have 6 different tests that we do field testing for. It's air temp, water temperature, dissolved oxygen, pH. Those 4 aren't particularly calculated into the report card grade, but they're very important to know because they're essential to having them in proper ranges are essential for aquatic life. So we want to make sure that we're gathering those data points for those state and federal agencies that may be using our data. conductivity and turbidity help us to measure the sediment. And then, of course, we have we take samples, 2 samples that we send to the lab for total nitrogen, total phosphorus. That's where the real costs come in. Those are $30 per sample per month per site. So we, if you're familiar with the Chesapeake Bay program and the pollution diet, the total maximum daily loads are typically referred to total nitrogen, total phosphorus, and sediment. And that's what we're measuring with these field tests and then with the lab test for TNTP. Again, as I mentioned, we upload all of our data, which is not a small task, to the Chesapeake Monitoring Cooperative Database. And we're very pleased because we know that we have a lot of conversation and interaction with some of those agencies. And so we're very pleased to know that our data is being used by different agencies. And we're audited once a year by the Alliance for the Bay. I think most recently was by the University of Maryland, to make sure that they're confident that we're properly sampling and that our volunteers are being trained at least once a year. To get to where we sample, this will give you, if you have it in front of you, and I have hard copies of the report card. This is a report card for 2024. I know it's June 2025. It took us until about March of April to really get the calculations done and get up and running with our 2024 report card. We'd like to get it out a little bit quicker. Again, we're all volunteers, so it does take us some time. And this gives you an idea of the tidal and non-tidal sites, and the parameters of the testing are differ depending on whether they're tidal or non-tidal. Again, this is about our 6th year, I think, in sampling. So now we do have data that allows us to do trends on many of these sites, which is very important. Overall, we saw an improvement in both the watersheds this year, up from a grade of C last year to a B-. We attribute that primarily to a reduced amount of rainfall, which results in a reduced amount of stormwater runoff. So there's less sediment and less nutrients that are flowing into the tributaries and into the bay. So the grades come up a little bit. We would not be surprised to see this go back down. We've been consistently around a C+ to a C for the years that we've been doing this. You'll see some of the sites that are really the best are just south of Fair Hill nature area. That's to be expected because that runoff's coming through the forests and the streams, and that's what the forests and the trees. And that's what we're trying to do with many of the best management practices, is to put a facility in so that the rainwater and runoff from the parking lots and fields will go into those practices and be filtered up. The plants will take up the nutrients, help to filter out the sediment before it gets down to the outfall and into the river. Again, for the Elk River, also B- this year, which we're really happy to see. Just very briefly, again, we're all volunteers, so we rely on these volunteers to come out once a month. It takes to do 2 sites, depending on how far you have to travel, it takes about 2 to 3 hours. Most of our sampling is shore-based, just because we as an organization, we don't have a watercraft, we don't have a boat. The equipment is expensive, and we're running into that now in our 6th year, is that it does need to be maintained and periodically replaced. And we're going to have to do some targeted requests to begin to be prepared to replace some of these meters that we use. As I mentioned before, it's $30 per sample, so it's about $240 a year per site, because we're sampling 8 months out of the year. And we are dependent upon the local municipalities and Cecil County and VLP grant. We've been very, very fortunate to be consistently funded by our partners, and so we very much appreciate that. Just to give you a little recap of the cost for 2024, our 2024 report card. Printing 15,000 copies. We use a local small business called Fritz Printing. They're located out of his house in Schoolhouse Road in Northeast. He's a phenomenal. We've gotten a phenomenal product from him. That's just a little less than $5,000 to print 15,000 of them. We mailed A year ago, we mailed 14,000, almost 15,000 of them for about 3,000. Total cost about $7,800, it's about 52 cents a report card. That'll go up just a little bit because we use every door direct mail through the US Postal Service. That cost went up from about 20 cents to about 22 cents. So we've emailed, or this should say we've distributed 15,000 report cards throughout the two watersheds. Again, partnerships, and I want to just close to say thank you, and I will be asking for your indulgence as we send a request in for additional funding for this year. Last year, we asked for funding for our lab fees for the Elk River, the printing costs and the mailing, which is about $5,000. So if you're open to that, I would like to send that request to you again.
I would say send a request in. It's a worthwhile program, and I think it keeps us all on task to understand our water quality. And you're opening up my eyes each time you come in here to other things that we could do better.
I really appreciate that. We would be happy to coordinate a clean stream site, and over on this side of the county. And also, we're working with our partners. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Maryland Sea Grant, and Extension, a Stormwater Management Division again. As we're working within communities, we've submitted grant proposals. We haven't been successful yet. As Eric Buell with Sea Grant says, we work by the baseball where we do it 3 times before we're out. So we're on our 3rd time on a couple of communities to get some of these small best management practices in that will have an impact very locally on local residents and business owners' properties.
Listen, I'd love to get on the plan from Bar Creek where the waterfall is, all the way to the Water Baker Bridge.
So as we get closer to time for cleansing, we can the reason we do it early and late season is just because it's hard to get to stuff when the foliage is in. So if we wait until the leaves are down, then we get a lot better. We're able to get stuff a lot easier.
Nothing to do with snakes.
Nothing at all. Or ticks.
Very good. Thank you. So any questions?
I did have one question. Going back to your creek cleanup, you guys physically walk a creek and clean it, right?
Yes, we're out in the creeks.
I was wondering, do you ever have to deal with a creek such as the Big Elk Creek? Now, from Meadow Park north, it's a sandy, rocky bottom, very easy to walk. From Meadow Park south, it's a mud hole. And you obviously can't walk it. Do you deal with situations like that, and how so?
One of the partnerships that we have is with a local company down in Northeast who approaches the cleanup from the water and kayaks. And so they will go into those areas, exactly like you mentioned, particularly along Stony Run, where we can only go so far down until, no matter what time of year it is, it's more of a wetland. We can't really walk. They'll come at it from the water, and haul the trash out using kayaks. And so, and they may do that a completely different day than we do. I think he likes to do his on Earth Day.
Gotcha.
Because he's not as dependent. If we wait until the first weekend of April, a lot of times we're saying we should have done it last weekend because the foliage comes in really, really fast.
Comes in fast.
And so that's how we approach that.
That's outstanding. I appreciate that work that you guys do.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
And Rob has kayaks.
He's got a kayak.
I remember hearing that. We can do that.
Mark, thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you for your time.
Not too many questions.
All right.
Sorry.
Gene Minner, you're up.
Kathleen has something.
Kathleen,
Sorry, Mr. Dobbins,
Mr. Dobbins.
could you please, end your session, your Zoom session?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'll be happy to do that.
All right, I think annexation resolution A2 2025 is being presented for introduction.
Hey, for 253 Maloney Road LLC, the petition was accepted on June 4th, and it's subject to introduction tonight. If the board accepts it for introduction, then we'll implement the advertisements and notice for public hearing and all that. And Gene will send the petition and the resolution and all the other supporting documents to the county and the Department of Planning. we recommend if you want to get this thing moving, that you accept it for introduction tonight. If you do, have a public hearing, the timeline here. Public hearing will be on, August 20th. And if it's adopted at that time, there's no referendum, it'll be effective October 4th, 2025. I would recommend the board accept the resolution for introduction.
Gene, real quickly, this was in front of the county last night?
No, that was the other property on the other side of Molyneux.
That was McConnell.
McConnell property,
Yes.
gotcha.
Which one's this?
For the
Is it-
Buffalo Room.
The
Right behind
Buffalo.
parcel I,
That's all I needed to know.
right
Yeah,
behind parcel I.
Gotcha.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the annexation resolution A2 2025?
So moved.
Is that a motion
Second.
and a second? Any discussion?
No, because I know David's gonna take care of any language that we're gonna need before we adopt it.
Right. Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Lou, you were on. You got a grant waiver, I think. The Elkton Alliance has a grant waiver, maybe.
Word,
I got it right here. I can do it. Want me to do it?
I got it. Health Alliance, National Food Truck Day, they won a waiver for. No, they won it for nothing. I'm sorry, June 22nd. Sorry, June 27th, they won a waiver for alcohol for the food market. We're gonna have a truck down there with trucks.
I think it's a wonderful idea and looking forward to, my weekends have been pretty booked, but I am in town on that 27th, which is good.
Yeah.
I know. So we have a motion to accept the grant waiver for alcohol beverage restriction for National Food Truck Day on June 27th at the Farmers Market, Howard Street and Bow Street. So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. All right, so the only thing I have today, I think this is the only thing I have today. I'd like to make a recommendation. We have a couple vacancies on the Elkton Ethics Commission. And Danny Demaris, I think we all know Danny. He served on this board and this is kind of to renew his position for appointment for Bernard Daniel Damaris for the Elkton Ethics Board.
We'll move.
Got a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion on Danny? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Gene, you have anything?
No.
Charles? Tomorrow's a big day.
Tomorrow, Friday.
It's Lewis's birthday.
He just said that.
Juneteenth.
Right.
Hmm.
I was reading through the charter and the charter simply, when you look at the salaries of the mayor and commissioners, it states twofold when it was created. Basically, it was created partially as a salary, but the most dominant thing about that charter piece, it states that it was used for expenses of the mayor and commissioner. I mean, we're not hurting. I don't think nobody really looks at that as if it's a necessary thing, but it does state that. And I know a lot of us have been on this board 10, 15, X amount of years. And we have, and we still do go to wherever, do what we have to do at our own expense. And if you look through that charter, it sort of have a difference between the salary and the expenses. Expenses being the most important thing. And obviously, when it comes to salary, it becomes different because in there it states that you cannot raise your salary while you're sitting on the board. It has to be an off year or something like that. But I think with all the years and the lucrativeness of the town doing what it does, I don't think you need to disregard the people that sit here when it comes to expenses. And that has been overlooked. And I just bring that up for you all's consideration, board members, because you might want to think about that. Whether it's for you now or somebody who succeed us while we're here, but I just think it's pertinent because you gotta have a purpose for what you do.
I think, I agree with you, Charlie. I think we've got it. The language that we have in the charter kind of blocks us a little bit.
It doesn't even make sense.
No, it kind of blocks us to where, there can never be if we voted right now to give an increase to whoever's sitting up here, it has to be for the next election of the next vote. So we
But
can't,
two people who are currently sitting
we get more.
would
than-
not get.
That's
anything.
correct.
Doesn't make sense.
But by the
But
same
we-
token, if you were to go between the language we talk about salaries and expenses, there's a difference, and it does not spell itself out in the
Yeah,
charter,
okay.
because certainly while you're a sitting board, you can certainly increase your expenses, not necessarily the salary.
Well,
So that's why I bring it up to you.
The, years ago, the board, some of you may remember, was, paying 1,200 a year for expenses, 600 for each 6 month. When Steve was here, we had a visit from the IRS, and, they, instructed us and said so many words to combine that with a salary. So that's where you're getting a salary that includes both salary as the board has authorized and the expenses at the same time. So
And we have-
theoretically, if you increase your expenses, you're increasing your compensation, that might be taxable. Well,
Yeah,
well,
but that
we
was,
pay
but
taxes on it.
the IRS, required us to do that.
Right.
Fine.
that was then though, and you don't know how many years ago, we talking about language that would spell itself for now.
I think it
And
was
for anybody, but
18 years ago, wasn't it?
it was about.
2004, wasn't it? I think it was,
Longer, okay.
I think it was 2004 is when the change happened, and, the one thing that I think that could resolve a little bit of this, if we made some type of, where the board would receive that cost of living increase. Along with that, I think that would have made the adjustments over the years. But listen, let's give it some thought and, come up with some type of solution. I think that I agree with Charlie. It's hard to, really submit anything
Mhm.
to the town, because like today, I can share with the team today at 2:00 today. I'm gonna pick up an individual that's coming here to talk about geothermal. And I'm gonna put him in my car and drive around town all day today, from 2:00 on. And, he's looking for some sites to do a geothermal school, and, it's like a big heat pump, I guess is how it works. I'm gonna learn about this. But I'll drive around, this isn't my first time, it's about every 3 weeks, someone will call me and I'll take them around, show them projects in the town, and, we don't get we could get reimbursed for it, but it's not easy to
We
get.
don't do
I
it,
don't,
we just don't do it.
we don't do it. I don't think any of us submit any.
Oh, my God, no.
I don't submit it.
Tyler, do you have something you want to say?
I just want, it sounds like probably the history of incorporating it into the salary probably had to do with the accountable plan, rules of the IRS. So typically reimbursable expenses, it's based on your organizational policy. But in order for it not to be taxable, it always has to be within IRS limits. In other words, there's a limit for mileage reimbursement, how much you can give for business mileage. There's a limit on out of town travel, per diems, things like that, that you can't go above. As long as it's supported, by a receipt, it's actual out-of-pocket expense, typically it's non-taxable, as long as it's supported and it fits within IRS rules. However, if you pay an allowance, on the other hand, which is not supported, in other words, you just get money, periodically, you don't have to submit receipts, you don't submit an expense report, that is just salary and that's taxable.
Yeah.
And that's probably why this was rolled into salary.
Yeah, because we pay taxes on every bit of it.
Mhm. Well, listen, let's try to work up a plan here. Let's we'll include that in one of our workshops and see, where we want to be. Listen, we may want to do a salary, survey for ourselves also. I mean, when I say ourselves, I'm talking about whoever will be sitting here at these positions.
Yeah, because it won't affect us.
Mhm.
Mayor,
Yeah.
excuse me, Human Resources had a comment,
Yes,
so.
human resources, come on in.
Can you hear me okay?
Gotcha.
Okay, so I just want to mention that the salary that's currently established for the mayor and commissioners, and I sent this to Mr. Bestie as well and Lewis. The last time I did I did a quick search for Commissioner Gibbons. It was changed. The last time was effective on December 6, 2007.
2007.
And that's where it established the mayor's salary and the commissioner's salaries. But there's also an additional expense that's blended in with it, that each board member gets on top of that. And that equates to about $13.80 a year, broken up into 26 pays, which is supposed to cover bona fide expenses. So I would encourage the board to look at that in the future workshops.
Thank you, Andy. Appreciate it. All right, anything else, Charles?
No, Andy's got the lead on that.
All right.
Hear that?
I hear it, he's got it. So tomorrow is a big day in the town of Elkton. We got a big celebration, Juneteenth. Looking forward to seeing everyone there. I'm gonna pop in. Yeah, anything to add to that, Charles?
Oh, you always pop in and they see you and then you popped
I
out.
popped right out.
I think the last time, they're all popped in and you get popped out.
Yeah, that's what we had fun for.
I stayed all day.
Yes.
That's
Yes, I did.
Earl's a bad influence on me. Earl, anything today?
Did you say it all? No, I have anything to say.
Robert?
I'm looking forward to the MML convention in Ocean City. It's always very informative and we have a good chance to really talk and bond amongst ourselves and I'm really looking forward to it.
Very good. Me
Did you
too.
ever employ the data when you supposed to be speaking?
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing a session on Wednesday. I believe it's like 10:30. And we're gonna talk about the public-private partnerships, bond ratings. I'm gonna be a speaker along with Wyatt from Medco and also Mike Brown from Sideline
That's
Sports.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Congratulations.
pretty exciting. Okay, this is the time we open up the floor for anyone in the audience that might have something positive to say for the town of Elkton, or maybe not so positive. Anyone out there today? Right, Alicia?
Elkton's best town of Elkton's 4th of July celebration.
Yesterday, our last meeting, we had moved forward with these fireworks, but I would say I believe we've been partnering up with the Elkton Little League and they've been doing some work down there. When I say work down there, they're selling the hot dogs and concession stands, but I don't think we've
Promoted it.
promoted it.
Yeah, it should be.
On the website today.
It'll be, there we go.
Is there any flyer or anything, Kathleen, that we can put in our newsletter starting on Friday?
I can give you the post information.
Okay.
I can do that to you.
Yeah, I did last year, we had a parking map available for my,
I thought the parking map was a big help, show people that they could be behind on Howard Street.
yeah, and it, like a mention of what was going on.
Yeah.
I think we can find
We need
that.
to get on that.
I think there was a correction that needed to be made, of the parking garage. The original had parking garage as an option.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they don't like it.
Just have it.
Gene Minner, you had something?
Just wanted to let you know that Elf Landing had an open house Saturday and welcomed more than 50 visitors for the house tours. Very
Fantastic.
successful. And we had another volunteer come onto the board.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is great news.
And Alicia, what about the Harvest House? What's happening downtown with that? Or the Harvest Church?
I have not seen or heard anything recent. They are doing a lot of work in there and it looks amazing.
I happened to see where they posted a sign, what that's gonna be, so I figured I assume that you have.
I've been emailing back and forth with them on some different things, but I haven't had any one-on-one conversations. I just know they're moving along.
Does anybody know if we still have activity right across the street? in that, mosque.
They bought the building back behind them, the old real estate office, so I'm not sure whether they're still using this one or not.
Oh, they did.
That was about a year ago, at least.
I haven't seen, usually you would see something on Saturday, like a lot of activity. Haven't seen anybody. I haven't. I was just curious if it was still active. And how about Ross? Are they, getting closer to opening their doors?
We don't know.
You walk, they got their,
They got the
certificate.
show, but they don't tell us,
Okay, just curious if you,
When's Mini Hanes gonna open?
yes.
I'm sorry, I get that question 4 or 5 times. a day.
Yeah. The job lots opening was fantastic. I should have reported that. That store is phenomenal and, I hope you all get a chance to go in there.
I went in there.
That particular day with the ribbon cutting, I got a shopping cart and went back in and, enjoyed every bit of it. So, I'm thrilled to have it. It's like a little mini Walmart.
I brought a friend with me and she won one of the gift cards.
Oh, okay.
Alicia?
Yes.
So the latest word on Binks.
The latest word is they're probably gonna do a soft launch Thursday or Friday. It was supposed to be Tuesday, Wednesday, I mean, you've heard the stories, but they had some delays in some deliveries this week. And so for goal is, tomorrow or Friday, and then we're gonna do, a ribbon cutting. It'll probably be at least 2 weeks, but, taking in consideration 4th of July and everything.
Very good.
Oh.
Yeah, finally.
What was the state on the bridge, Delaware Avenue Bridge?
Dead in the water. I don't know where Dan is, but, he was talking about October, when we come
As
back.
long as they're not planning on doing anything over the 4th of July, that's
No.
okay.
All right, anyone else have anything to say for the good of the town?
One more comment, Dave can correct me if I'm wrong, closing for Holly Hall's the 14th. So I think that's where we're at. Yeah, we're looking at July 14th closing on Holly Hall.
Very good.
Thank you.
That'd be huge news. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.